Hello and welcome to our presentation. I'm Quirien Hover from the University of Twente in the Netherlands, and I'll be discussing our research into the online community's attitude to and perceptions of robots that vary in human likeness and gender. Reactions on YouTube videos depicting robots can offer an interesting insight into people's opinions and ideas. Here we see an often occurring reaction to moderately human-like robots, namely that they may take over jobs or even the world. Robots that look incredibly human-like are often met with disbelief and reactions related to the uncanny valley. Female robots often receive remarks of a sexual nature, some of which are quite explicit. Straight and her colleagues studied these kinds of reactions. They compared people's responses to moderately or mechanomorphic and highly human-like robots by considering comments on YouTube videos. They specifically looked at the valence of comments and references to the uncanny valley, fears, and objectification. They found that people had more negative responses to highly human-like robots. Highly human-like robots were also more often referred to as uncanny and were objectified more than less human-like robots. They did not observe a relationship between human likeness and the frequency of references to fears about robots replacing human jobs or taking over. An additional exploratory finding was that for both the less and more human-like robots, female robots received significantly more objectifying comments than male or neutral-gendered robots. Our study builds upon this work. Our aim was to study the differences in the public's attitude to and perceptions of robots in relation to their human likeness and gender in online commentary. The study was largely based on Straight's work. Our contributions are that in addition to human likeness, we also investigated how gendered robots are perceived. For this, we only considered the gender of highly human-like robots, since moderately human-like ones are often not attributed a clear gender. We also expanded on the number and type of measures. While Straight considered valence, uncanniness, two fears, and objectification as an exploratory topic, we consider valence and measures related to appearance, including uncanniness and cuteness, threats like job threat and threat to humanity, and the sexualization of and sexism and racism against robots. Lastly, the method is similar, but there are some important differences in data selection and statistical analysis. Based on Straight's findings, as well as other HRI studies, we expected that people more frequently respond with a negative attitude to highly human-like robots than moderately human-like robots. We also expected that highly human-like robots would more frequently be perceived as uncanny and threatening to jobs and humanity or safety, and that people would express remarks of a sexual, sexist, and racist nature more often to highly human-like robots. When comparing male and female highly human-like robots, we hypothesized that female highly human-like robots would receive more sexual and sexist remarks, while male ones would more often be referred to as uncanny. First, we selected videos. We started with 30 different robots chosen a priori based on robots used in Straight study as well as other HRI studies. We did a YouTube query for these robots. The video with top view count was selected. We had two criteria. The video should only feature one robot, and it should have a neutral or positive framing and content. We did not find a suitable video for 3 robots. Next, we excluded 3 robots which had an ambiguous degree of human likeness. Lastly, we filtered based on number of comments, excluding videos with less than 70 comments. This resulted in the final set of 10 videos of moderately human-like robots and 10 videos of highly human-like robots, of which 5 males and 5 females. Next, we collected all comments of the videos of the different robot types. We adopted the exclusion criteria of Straight to standardize the dataset. Comments which were not written in English or were non-independent, such as threads, or that were unrelated to the video or robots, or undecipherable, were excluded. To achieve a large and different sample set than Straight's work, we collected all comments of videos with less than 100 comments, which were 6 videos in total, and randomly selected 100 comments of each of the remaining videos. To test the hypotheses, the comments were coded on valence, either positive, negative, or neutral, and the presence of topics related to appearance, societal impact, mental states, and stereotypes. First, we created preliminary topics and measures based on literature. These were then used as a rough coding scheme to interpret pilot data. This led to the addition of a few measures which were frequently observed, shown in bold here. Next, this coding scheme was used by 3 independent annotators to code a test set of 100 comments. Afterwards, they discussed disagreements and questions. Based on their suggestion, we added 2 exploratory measures related to personification. The 3 annotators then coded the dataset. Each comment was coded by 2 annotators. We determined the intercoder reliability between the 3 annotators for each measure using Krippendorff's alpha. 7 out of 20 measures had good reliability and 1, racism, had sufficient reliability. All other measures were discarded. Regarding the valence of comments, we found that comments to highly human-like robots were significantly more often negative than comments to moderately human-like robots. This confirms our hypothesis. It is noteworthy that there's still quite a mixed response to both moderately and highly human-like robots, with both receiving between 40 to 60% positive and negative responses. No significant association was found between the valence of comments and robot gender. Highly human-like robots were more frequently referred to as uncanny than moderately human-like robots. This is in line with the hypothesis. Moderately human-like robots, on the other hand, were more often referred to as cute. There was no significant relationship between robot gender and frequency of references to uncanny appearances, in contrast to our hypothesis. Moderately human-like robots were more likely to be perceived as posing a threat to jobs and a threat to safety than highly human-like ones. This was in contrast to the hypotheses and prior studies. For example, Straight found no association, and others found that the more human-like the robots were, the more they were perceived as threatening. These conflicting results may be due to different methodologies, but may also indicate that this relationship is more complex. It is also possible that the depiction of the robots in the videos influenced perceived threat. The focus of highly human-like robots videos was generally on the robot's similarity to humans, in terms of appearance or cognition, while the focus of moderately human-like robot videos was more on their abilities, so they were often shown performing tasks. Perhaps this depiction of robots executing tasks contributed to the perception that they could take over human tasks and jobs and may even ultimately harm people. As for the stereotypes topic, highly human-like robots received significantly more sexual remarks and sexist remarks than moderately human-like robots, which confirms our hypotheses. Within the highly human-like robot group, female robots were more likely to be subject to sexualization and sexism than male robots. Nearly a third of comments on female highly human-like robot videos were sexual in nature, exceeding the occurrence of all other topics. Lastly, there was no significant relationship between references to racism and human likeness or gender. Naturally, the study had some limitations. An important limitation is that we lack demographic information on the commenters, so it's unclear whether they're representative of the general online public. Since cultural and demographic factors can influence perceptions of robots, further research in which demographics are taken into account is required before our findings can be generalized. Comments may not provide sincere sources of information. Comments reflect momentary responses, less inhibited by social norms due to the online nature, but their contents may often lack nuance and are more extreme, so they may be less sincere. More than half of the measures did not have sufficient intercoder reliability. Consequently, we had to discard a lot of information. The 2 main possible explanations are that annotator interpretation is variable, and creating a coding manual that is clear and has appropriate specificity is a challenge. It's worth noting that most measures that had a low reliability also had a low occurrence, so that might be another explanation. We did not compare male and female moderately human-like robots, since moderately human-like robots are generally not attributed a clear gender. This was a gap in our study. It's possible that people still attribute a gender to moderately human-like robots due to design cues or existing biases, but this would have to be further researched. To conclude, we aim to address the need to better understand the public's natural responses to human-like robots. To that end, we built upon the work of Straight and her colleagues. We mostly found similar differences in people's responses to moderately and highly human-like robots. The implications for HRI research and design are that moderately human-like robot design may be preferable over highly human-like robot design, as our findings indicate that it's less associated with negative attitudes and perceptions. Next to that, this study raises the concern of gendering highly human-like robots female, as this can lead to sexist attitudes and the sexualization of robots. It could be insightful to further study the sexualization of and sexism towards female robots. Why does this happen, and how can it be reduced or prevented? That concludes our presentation video. Thank you very much for your attention.